and welcome back to the Angry Teacher Educator Academy. I'm Richard Williams, the Angry Teacher, and today we're going to be talking about standards and how to have your students interact with them. Hang around, we're going to learn today. Now we know as educators, the driving force, which is not necessarily a good or bad thing. I'm going to leave that alone for a different video. But the driving force behind our instruction is the standard or our standards and objectives. And this video is going to show you a couple of things you can do to kind of help the kids grasp the concepts so learning will be better, or they'll understand where their learning is going to take them and for what purpose. All right. Now, number one, after you've looked at the standards and you've planned your lesson and you've come up with your objectives and what you want the kids to accomplish, have them make it their own. Have them paraphrase the objectives for the lesson for that day or for that week. And then they'll be able to move on from there and figure out by the end of the week, have they learned it? So you can have students paraphrase the lesson objectives so that they can make it their own. You can do this through different ways, and I'll probably make a video for one of these, but you can have them create games that will, and that doesn't have to be too elaborate either, or even, but in the beginning, in the initial stages of that objective or that standard that you want them to grasp, you can have them create games so that they can make it, okay, this is what I'm supposed to learn for the duration of this lesson. Also, have them work in group assignments to break down the parts to make it a whole. Instead of the teachers just tell them this is what we're doing today, make it something that they have ownership of because they've created their own paraphrased version of it. Okay, so that's number one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And after all of that, don't forget to ring the bell for the next Angry Teacher video. Now, number two, going back to planning with the end in mind, you can make or write something or put something up, whichever works better for you, the objectives larger and for them to see somewhere provided for them so that you can always do check-ins. So as they're working throughout the day, as they're working throughout the week, they can go back and see, hey, are we getting this? You can even pop in as teacher. Okay, so we're supposed to be looking at how tone affects a work. Go back and ask them, what's the tone here? Look at the standard. Look at the objective. Are we meeting that? Do you get that yet? No, not yet. Okay, we're working on it. We have the rest of the day, the rest of the week to work on this, and have them keep going back to it, looking at the board, looking at the provided sheet that you have. Are you understanding where this is going? Okay, so that's number two. Provide them the standards. Don't just keep it in your lesson plan book or binder, but have them have the standards, and after they've broken it down, they've paraphrased it, now we have check-ins. Are you getting it? Now the first two, and we're in number three right now, but the first two are literally about finding out what the standards objectives are, applying them while you're working through the day or through the week or through the objective, through that lesson. And then number three is reflection on it. Now, after we've done all of this and we've figured out what the lesson is supposed to be about and what it's leading us to and what the standard, those funky numbers in a lesson plan binder that they want us to get to, did I learn anything from it? Let me reflect. Am I able to peruse a passage and take the tone out of it? Am I able to figure out how a character is broken down through his trials and tribulations, because that is one of the competencies that I need to go over. But these are things that can kind of help the students understand why they're doing something. If at the end of the week I want you to understand this mathematical concept, we're going to break it down and see if it makes sense to us. We're going to apply it, and then we're going to have to reflect on it. Now, you can do this in several ways. Ask them to write. I'm an English teacher, I'm a writing teacher. I like when they write because it gets them to think privately and quietly without all the group work and the fancy stuff that you've learned at a PD. They need to be able to write by themselves and think. orally. Ask them questions. Now, we call it exit tickets. Nowadays, it's all fancified, but it's literally something just to have them reflect on what they've learned. So, if they have learned something, just ask them. You can give it to them for grade or not. But you can kind of poke and prod and see, wait a minute, did you understand this? What's the tone going on here? What's he saying? Does he get it? Why does he keep crying? These are things that will help you evaluate if they've understood the objectives of the lesson. But it's not just that. It's not just for you. It helps them understand if they've understood the objective of the lesson. All right, so those are my three things. Hang around for the Teacher's Lounge. That's coming up next. I got some tips that you can use. Welcome back to the Teacher's Lounge. This is where we sometimes talk about what grinds my gears. I give you some tips, or we talk about my dope kids. Today, we're going to be talking about this one tip that has worked, and I'm sure some of you have already done it, or I want some of you to try it. Print up the year's standards, or at least the unit standards, or wherever you are, how much, because some of these standards are really long and intrusive, but we can deal with it. Print them up, provide one for each student to keep in their class folders, their class binders, or affix it to their desks so that while they're working, you can walk around. And this is something that I encourage, walking around. When you're moving around the room, you're looking at their desk. Okay, so what standard are we addressing right now? What objective is this piece referencing? Look at this mathematical equation that we're working on. What objective is this? What part are we breaking down? What are we doing as we work through this U.S. history unit? All right, so that's my tip. Affix or provide them the standards as well. So while you're looking at it for your planning, they're looking at it for their learning. Thanks for coming to class today. Don't forget to go out there and be great. I want y'all to go out there and teach.